Today, I will be stopping all mortgage foreclosure sales in Wayne County, beginning with the sale that is scheduled for this Wednesday. I'm doing so because it's my opinion that recently enacted federal laws provide protections for homeowners facing foreclosure. To proceed with sales without assuring that homeowners have been able to avail themselves of those protections would put me in a position of violating federal law. The Troubled Asset Relief Program, known as TARP, that was approved by Congress last fall, requires the Secretary of the Treasury to implement a plan to mitigate foreclosures. That includes encouraging services of mortgages, to modify loans to enable homeowners to stay in their homes. Federal law preempts state law, which means that the TARP provision prevents or preempts Michigan's foreclosure law. That in turn means that foreclosures cannot move forward until efforts to modify the mortgages of homes covered by TARP have been exhausted. As a result, I have determined that there are sufficient legal grounds for me and for other sheriffs in Michigan to halt mortgage foreclosure sales. I cannot in clear conscience allow any more families to lose their homes through foreclosure sale until I'm satisfied that they have been afforded every option they are entitled to under the law to avoid that foreclosure. There is no way to immediately determine which of the approximately 300 to 400 homes that come up for sale each week in Wayne County are covered by TARP and which are not. As a constitutional officer and an officer of the court, I have both a legal and a moral obligation to make sure that all legal remedies have been exhausted before a homeowner loses their home. Since homeowners lose their rights to a property once the foreclosure sale is complete, the only fair course of action is to halt the foreclosure sales. As a result, the foreclosure sales that have been held every Wednesday and Thursday are being discontinued. My office will work with lenders and with homeowners facing the threat of foreclosure to make sure that homeowners are being provided every option they are entitled to under the law to avoid foreclosure. Mortgage modifications could include acquiring a lower interest rate, forgiveness of past default payments, reduction of the monthly loan payment, or perhaps a lowering of the loan principal. Any of these modifications could mean the difference between families keeping their homes or being forced out of them. After speaking to and meeting with lawyers who represent foreclosed homeowners and mortgage lenders, I've come to understand that very few homeowners have been able to avail themselves of this financial life raft. In other words, many of the properties that come to the sheriff's sale each week likely are covered by TARP. But we have no way of knowing which ones, and we have no way of knowing which of those covered by TARP actually provided the assistance that the program requires. As a result, I'm halting all foreclosure sales, and I am urging all Michigan sheriffs to join me in implementing this moratorium on foreclosure sales. In doing so, they will assure that Michigan homeowners have every opportunity to renegotiate their mortgages before they are subjected to foreclosure proceedings. I would just like to also mention that this is not something new for us to look at. In November, we went to community groups to try to move forward with some initiative that would bring the lenders and the people facing default together to look at those mortgages and try to deal with them. It didn't substantially go very far. And later, within the last couple of weeks, we looked again, and we think comfortable on the law, asking for the governor to create a state of emergency, to declare a state of emergency, which we think would have allowed a moratorium on foreclosures that would have also done something for this problem. I have heard, not directly from the governor, but that her people do not believe that the law allows it. Our legal research indicates that it does, and we've actually seen some case law from the 30s where it did happen. So this has been an ongoing problem. obviously, as sheriff, you don't want to do foreclosures in a situation where it becomes, you know, a glut of homes in your community. You have public safety problems, but I still have to follow the law. 3 months ago, this TARP program, I think, created for us when we reviewed it, the situation that I mentioned a little while ago, which is my best read of it is that I'm really precluded from doing this, or at least in putting myself as sheriff at risk in following the Michigan foreclosure law, as long as we're not comfortable that the TARP program is being followed. So that's pretty much where we are.